an honor to welcome you on behalf of Transparency Switzerland, the Swiss chapter of Transparency International here in Geneva. History has a sense of timing, and it's the right moment you have chosen to undertake what you're aiming to today and tomorrow. I will tell you and give you 5 key messages on what Transparency International would like to say you on the topic of today's and tomorrow's meeting. First of all, the mission of Transparency International to combat corruption is not a surprise to you. But what is not as self-evident is the fact that the Swiss chapter of Transparency International is focusing on corruption in public procurement, which includes, of course, also addressing public-private partnerships. And that's for a good reason, because we had last year in Switzerland, the paradise of wealth and economy, some corruption cases of rather unfriendly nature. And this new experience to us showed us that how much we should change our policy scheme, even inside Transparency International, and to focus on public procurement. So that's new. And the second thing that's new, and that's even more interesting to us all, is that what we call trade regulation or internal market regulation inside the European Union is not only about money and economy anymore, but also on good governance. So if you look at the revision of the WTO Government Procurement Agreement, then you can clearly see that the new text is entirely different from the GPA 1994, because it's now explicitly addressing integrity in the public sector and combating corruption. Even in the annual report of the WTO, there's said 2 sentences about the government procurement agreement, and one of it is that the government procurement agreement is and has a role in promoting good governance and battling corruption. For WTO, this is a spectacular new type of wording, because it isn't about trade and it isn't about economy as understood in the 90s, but it's about a more coherent view of an international legal order. And the same thing, just let me make a second statement on this, is true also for the European Union. Because if you look at the new regulation on concessions, the new regulation directive on the award of concession contracts 2014-23 European Union has as a reasoning not only the functioning of the internal market, but also the integrity of the public sector and good governance. One of the answers to frequently asked questions by the Commission reads that the impact assessment has shown that the absence or inadequacy of national rules for awarding concession undermines the functioning of the single market with regard to concession, and that's the normal internal market rationale. That's we were used to. But now it's the second sentence you have to listen. Increases the risks of national favoritism, fraud and corruption. And so the Commission takes its legitimacy to regulate this not only from an internal market perspective, but also from a good governance view. And this is also a paradigm change, in my view. And so I can only say, your work today is perfectly in line with what happens on an international level. Thank you.